Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about what we do as a family to transition from one year into the next year. So we are a family of 6 with 4 young children, and they're all under age 8. And so we're still relatively new in the intense tradition building of a family, but there are some things that we have found to be helpful for us that just kind of help us process from one year to the next. So I'm going to share them with you. There's 4 main things, so I'll go ahead and dive in. Okay, so the first thing we do is we spend some time, usually between Christmas and New Year's, but we're not really tied to any hard and fast timelines around this. So sometimes it's before Christmas, sometimes it doesn't happen until kind of January gets going, but we like to sit down as a family and pull up one of our laptop computers and go to our Google Drive account that we have all of our photos that back up to that. So my husband's phone and my phone both sync to the same Google Drive account, and that means that we have all of our pictures for the year inside that one Google account. Now that does mean that there's a lot of pictures, although we do try to go through our camera rolls and delete duplicates kind of as we go along in the year. My husband's probably better at that than I am. But what that means is we can sit down with our kids. We usually pop a big bowl of popcorn, kind of make it feel like a special event, sit down on the couch, prop up the laptop on like a bar stool in front of us, and we just start with January and we go through the year together as a family. And if there's any videos, we watch the videos. We remember the trips we took, or the day trips we took, or the special events, or the birthdays, or the holidays, or the beautiful loaves of sourdough that I was making, or the beautiful bouquets of flowers that our girls were picking. Just all of that kind of thing. It's a really special way as a family to just reflect on the year, think back on what the year was like, and enjoy those memories together. We don't usually get through the whole year in one night. This usually takes a few nights to get through. So we'll try to get through like January, February, March on the first night, and then April, May, June on the next night, and kind of break it down like that. But that's the first thing we do. We do kind of a photo video review of the year. The second thing we do is, up until now, has mostly just been my husband and I doing it. Although this year I feel like our 7-year-old probably could begin to participate in it with us. But we like to sit down with a sheet of paper that I just draw into 4 quadrants basically. And in those 4 quadrants, I have a title for each. And the first one is what has been good about this year. The second one is what has been hard about this year. And the third one is, what do I get to take with me into the next year? And the fourth one is, what do I need to leave behind in this year? So my husband and I sometimes will do it independently, sometimes we'll do it together, sometimes we'll do it independently and then talk about it together. That's usually what we do actually, but it just gives us the chance to reflect a little bit more deeply on the year, to be intentional about valuing and appreciating the gifts that have come at us in the year, and also to be intentional about releasing and letting go of things, because you can't keep carrying burdens from year to year to year and feel like you're living, a life that is full of peace. And so we like to do that. We'll probably include our 7-year-old, almost 8-year-old daughter in that process, give her her own sheet of paper this year, and we'll see what that produces. But that's a fun kind of exercise reflection thing that we like to do together and talk about. The third thing we do is we sit down together as a family usually after we've looked at the we've done our family movie nights and looked at all of the Google photos, and we just brainstorm with our kids what would be some fun things that we would like to try to do in the new year. And so we sometimes will pull our wall calendar off the wall for the past year and just flip through it to help us remember what were some of the events that got scheduled in, because of course we have the videos or the pictures fresh in our mind, but then also looking at the calendar helps. I like to have a couple highlighters with me, and so anything that we were like, that is a for sure, yes. If we had the opportunity to do that again, we would do it again in a heartbeat. I like to highlight those one color. If there's things that like, that is a for sure no. We definitely do not want to do that again in the future. I highlight that a different color. And then if there's some things that are like, yeah, that was fun, and if the opportunity came up and it seemed like it was a good fit for our week, for our month, for our time, then we would do that again. But we're not like so committed to it. I usually do that in a third color. So I have the calendar, the kids and my husband sit with us at the dining room table. We have a sheet of scrap paper, and we just jot down like, okay, these are the things that are like, yes, for sure. If we need to put in some effort to make them happen again, we want to make that happen. These are the things that we just are not going to do in the next year. If the opportunity comes up, we know that that's an easy no. And then, kind of the mix of other things. And so sometimes this is like weekly routines and rhythms. So like our weekly Sabbath day a couple years ago, this came up in one of the discussions, and everybody in the family was like, we really like Sabbathing. Like, let's keep that a priority. So we have, and it has been such a blessing to us. Sometimes it's more just like a one-off family event, or a special concert that we go to, or certain friends that we don't see all that often, but we really enjoyed spending time with them that we want to try to prioritize in the new year. It's just kind of we're not super committed to anything, but it just gives us a space as a family to kind of get on the same page about how do we want to fill our time? How do we want to prioritize and steward our time and our activities and our energy in the year to come that is something that brings us together as a family? If we can, we'll start jotting in, we'll kind of look at the list and then jot in some specific things or goals onto individual months in the coming year. So I'll pull out my next year's wall calendar and we'll jot some stuff down. Even if that's just like, we enjoyed taking some hikes this past year, so I'm just gonna jot a little note at the top of each month. Schedule a family hike. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but just to remind us, oh yeah, that was something we wanted to try to do in this next year. So once a month, let's try to get a family hike in, something like that. Or schedule some family game nights. And maybe I do that every month or every other month. So we'll start to kind of tentatively plan, but we're not locking ourselves into any really hard and fast dates. That feels a bit stressful. It's more just like taking that brainstorming and being intentional about trying to keep it in a place where we can access it. And then the last thing that we do, which I am not always the best at doing, I have a sister who's much better at this than I am, but I like to make a family photo book for each year. And so I just do kind of the front page. I do like an overview of the year, and then each spread, like 2-page spread, I will have January for the first spread, February for the second spread, March for the third spread, and so on. So we just have a spread for each month, and I pull our favorite photos or special events or things that we did from our Google Drive, from our phones. I just pull those and pop them onto the pages. We love having physical books with pictures in them of our family to look through. So I usually get these printed up in like 12-inch by 12-inch size books, and our kids will pull them off the shelf. We keep them accessible to the kids. Yes, I want them to stay relatively nice, but I also can always reprint them if we need to. Our kids will pull them off the shelf, sit down on the couch by themselves or with each other, and flip through them and recount their stories together and their memories together. And it's such a sweet way for them to kind of have their childhood and their stories preserved. It's also really sweet for my husband and I to be able to go back through them. And it's so fun to not just have them on a digital file someplace, but actually physically present in our home so that we can enjoy those memories and those pictures together. So I don't always get that done right away. Like, I think I haven't actually finished last year's book yet, like the 2024 book yet. And I've started 2025, but I haven't finished it either. So that's one of my kind of Christmas goals, that time period between Christmas and New Year's when everything seems to be a bit in flux, that's kind of a fun time for me to work on some of those projects. So that's what I will probably be doing. Hopefully finishing up the 2024 year, as well as, getting most of the way through the 2025 year. So it's ready to go to get printed sometime in January. Those are the 4 things we do as a family to try to intentionally transition from one calendar year into the next calendar year. We do not usually stay up until midnight at this stage. When our kids get older, I'm sure that's something we will do. That's just, we like our consistent bedtimes, and I like my sleep. My husband is more of a night owl than I am, but even he finds midnight to be pretty late these days. And so we won't be doing that, but we will be trying to be grateful and thankful for the year and remember it as a family and be intentional about just carrying with us into the new year what we want to take with us, and laying to rest the things that are just not serving us to take into the new year. And so I hope that is helpful, or maybe gives you some ideas of what you might want to do or could do with your family. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video.